Okay, so this is Monday, January 8th, and I'm recording this. I'm going to go over a quick update um, on my progress, which is primarily finishing up the Polygon species data. And so Erica has, uh, oh, Silas is joining us. Um, I'll I'll wait till.
Great. Hi, Silas.
Hi, Silas. How's it going? Can you hear us? Oh, you're muted, Silas.
Now I should be good.
Okay. Um, so I was just going to provide a quick update on what I was going to do, what I'm doing, and then Angela is going to provide one and then send the recording to people.
Sounds good.
And so where was I? Oh, yeah. So I'm finishing up the data on the Polygon species. We I have one more set of data to get through, which should be done by next week. But Erica already has a system all set up for running polygons fairly efficiently. So she will make sure that uh, I guess one question is, uh, does she have all of the data that was not in BDC, Angela, that you would have had? Like the Cuba data? Oh, you're muted.
No, she only has the tourist data set.
So is there any way to give her the data that's not in the Dory data set?
Sure, yes, I
Okay,
can.
yeah. And so um, um, she'll still have, she should still be able to finish all of the polygons by the time you finished all of the SDM models. So we're um, um, uh, uh, we're making good progress with finishing up the polygon species. So Silas, I sent you the list of names and those 5 species specifically. Did you get a chance to look at them?
No, I haven't looked at it yet. I can do that later tonight, though.
Okay.
Mhm.
What's the matter? Did you just have a baby or something?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, wow.
Well, it's not just recently. I guess he's over a year old now, but still.
That, I think that's where they peak in terms of like how much effort you have to put in.
Yeah. Yeah. So what exactly did you want to, I mean, what exactly was the problem with these species? It was something about the synonyms that they would not
Oh,
be recognized,
well,
right?
that's right. So Dory uh, considers them ambiguous and synonymous. So
Mm,
I don't really care about ambiguous. If they're
mhm,
synonymous, um, then it's important. And I think that if you, well, in fact, I'm pretty sure if you put in a synonym
mhm.
uh, and you query the database, it won't give you any data. If you query an accepted species, it will grab data from synonyms, but it won't do the other way
Yeah.
around,
Mhm.
apparently.
That's how I
So,
understood it too.
then when I looked on GBIF and Discover Life for this small subset of species, they're listed as accepted names. And so I wrote Asher and I haven't heard from him. And usually if I don't hear within 30 seconds,
Mm.
yeah, he's not going to respond. But I don't care. I think all of the data from these species is already in our
Mhm.
data. they're just under different species. They're under like the accepted name. So these species, so my question is, just looking at those species, do you have a sense if any one of them are actually real accepted species?
Like in that list, for example, like Bombus rufosinctus, I think that should be a valid name. Is that, for example, what you're asking? Or
I'd have to look at the list. So um, I actually gave you two lists. One was a subset,
Mhm.
a small group, and I can't remember if rufosinctus was in there.
Well, you copied like a couple names into the email, and then I got an Excel
Yeah,
sheet.
those are the names. Yeah. And then I gave you I think an Excel spreadsheet that listed all of the names.
Okay.
So yeah, rufosinctus, was that one of the names that I pasted in?
Yeah, for example, yeah. But I'm not 100% sure what the issue is with that name, because I mean it's a valid name, I thought.
Okay. Um,
So
um,
maybe we could like walk through like one example, and yeah.
okay. So what do you mean walk through one example? Like right
Like
now?
for example, you know what's up with that name? What's the issue with that name?
Oh, so when we put it into BBDC,
Mhm.
it shows up as no data, and it should only do that if it doesn't recognize the species
Oh,
as a valid name.
huh. Interesting.
But you can also see the kind of exchange between Dory and I
Mhm.
in WhatsApp. I think
Yeah,
now that you're part of the group, can you go back and see
yeah,
everything?
I did follow that. Yeah.
Okay, so uh, um, uh, yeah, for those species, uh, um, the only thing that's clear to me is their ambiguous names. Then Dory later on indicated that they were also all synonyms. And if that's true, I would just like to confirm it.
Okay. Huh. Well, I mean, for example, in this Bombus rufosinctus case, I mean, it's a valid name. It's like it was part of the, Discover Life taxonomy file that was used for the BDC data. So I'm not clear why this should be why this name should cause any issues, because it's also
Okay,
not a synonym. It's like a, proper accepted name.
okay. If maybe not now, but if you could look at the other five and let me know whether you think that any of them are accepted. Because like I said,
Mhm.
when I look on Discover Life and I look on GBIF, all of those species with those authors are
Yeah,
valid. So I
yeah,
think the very first Bombus, I can't remember what it was um, on the list. Um, it was described like three different times, and
yeah,
the first two authors, everything that they identified is that it was actually Jonellis, I
yeah.
think, something like that. But the author that I'm using, that's a valid species. But the only thing that really matters is if you put it into the system, it's got to retrieve all of the appropriate records for that valid species. Um, and so for that first one, I'll have to go back and look. It looked like all of the records were mixed in with Jonellis. Um, um, but anyway, uh, if you could look at the other four and just give, you know, shoot from the hip even and say you think that that's a valid species. I will look at Rufosinctus again. And then the
Yeah.
other thing is, Angela, you got, what's his name? Bumblebee data set, right? Um, Ian, right? Ian Richardson, is that his name? You know him, Silas. Mr.
I know
Bumblebee.
him, but I've never seen his data before. You mean Leaf Richardson, right?
What's his first name?
Leaf,
Oh,
L-E-I.
Leaf. Yeah. Okay. Right. Yeah. Leaf Richardson. So he provided us with his database,
Nice.
and I, you know, uh, I trust him. I mean, he's spent probably more time working on Bombas, as much as anybody except for Mr. Bombas. Um, um, but Anila, maybe then I'll send you that same list, and at least for those two Bombas species, if you could check to see if he included those names in his checklist, because I'm assuming he would only use accepted names.
Yes, I can.
So, so for the rest of the species list, so I'm going to post it, and I mean, if you could just, now I forgot the genus that you worked on. It was a small one.
Nomia, for example.
Nomia. Right. And at least check and make sure we've got all the Nomia species. Or if we have Nomia species where you say there's no way that they occur. So the thing is, every one of those species has to occur in Canada, US, Mexico, Central America, or Colombia. And if they occur there, then we will provide records from anywhere because we're doing full distribution. So
Yeah.
a lot of these species that occur in Colombia will have data down into Chile and Argentina.
Yeah. So maybe that's a bit of a silly question, but what exactly do you mean with put it in the system? Say we look for Bombus rufus cinctus. You said if you put it in the system, then you don't get any data returned.
Oh, it just doesn't recognize it, so it comes back with no records.
So what system are you? Where are you querying?
BDC.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So all of these species, according to Dory, are considered synonyms. And that's why when we pinged for data multiple times, we didn't get them, unless I just messed up one of them. I could have messed up Rufus cinctus. We actually have data for it, but that's what I mean by not getting any data back. It was through the BBD system. And so all of the data that we're getting, well, the vast majority of it is from BBDC.
Yeah.
But for example, Dory could not deal with incorporating Leaf's data, but Angela was easily able to include his data. It's the same with the Cuba data. And I think it's the same with the Elaziolosum dialectus from Yucatan. I can't remember. There's just a few more data sets that he didn't, that she added on. But for most of these things, it's all through BBBDC.
We have Bombus rufus cinctus in the Bombus dataset.
Okay.
And the other one, Bombus sitchensis, I'll write it in the chat. Is there a chat? Yes. Because that's also a valid species that I thought at least was not controversial.
Oh, what's the author associated with that?
Nylander.
Yeah, that's the one where this species has apparently been described 3 times, like with 3 different authors. And the only Bombus sitchensis, Nylander, is considered a valid species. The other ones, at least according to GBIF, the other ones are actually synonyms, and those all go with Jonellus. I think that's the species name, Jonellus. I don't know. Silas, don't ask me to explain how taxonomists work.
Yeah. I
Um,
mean, yeah. Ionellus is like an old world species that was kind of like discovered. It was kind of discovered that it's actually whole Arctic maybe like 10 years ago or so. It occurs on like these like, what are those islands called? Aleut Islands, like in westernmost Alaska. So
Aleutian Islands.
maybe that has something to do with it.
Okay, and we've got and so Anila, we could have B bombycidensis in the system simply because it was listed in Leaf's data set, correct? That's a possibility. Anila?
Bombus from Kansas.
So both of these species, Bombus sitkensis and Bombus rufosinctus, you're saying that they're in the data set, and there's two ways they could get into the data set, by BBDC or
No,
by
it
Leafs.
was from the data set from,
Leaf?
yes, Leaf.
Oh, okay. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, well, this is so it's possible we might be able to resolve that. And the other thing is Leaf's data set is well, he said it was complete up to the Mexican border. He said he would not, you know, it's flaky after that. But both Sidkensis and Rufosinctus, those are northern latitude species, right? Silas, both of these Bombus species are northern latitude, right?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So it's very possible Leafs has all of the data. And any data we would get from BBDC would simply just be duplicates. And I mean, this is extremely rewarding that we're talking about 5,500 and some odd species, and we're down to like talking about just a very handful
Yeah.
in terms of, you know, how to deal with them. So, I mean, after this, the only one I know of, and that's what Anna has to deal with, and she can like do that, like the very last thing, and that is there's one Xylocopa species, or maybe two, that actually need to be split up, and
Like Tabaniformis.
I can't remember. I've got to go, guys. Well,
Okay.
no, I'm going to be back, but I just have to take Carrie to her babysitting. So how about this? Anila, you can share your screen, and I'm recording. Can you go over where you're at in terms of the number of models and layers and blah, 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 blah. And hopefully you'll still be talking when I get back. Okay.
Yeah, I can't do the full hour, but I'm gonna chime in. I'm gonna listen to you.
I try to be quickly. I will share my screen. We are now running the models in Oracle. In the last month, we had some problems to run the first part of the yes, the first part of the models, but then we can run everything in Oracle. And now, well, the models are running now with no, with these ones. Yes, with those layers, it has a Kroner nature biome layer and many layers from environment and many soil layers, and we have different files out. First, we have a table by species with the test parameters for each models. And we have here the models in TIFF format. We have now 1,361 models, but we will redo those models applying the last state of the layers, which include the pH layer and the other ones. And yeah, that is everything. We are running from the console and we are parallelizing the 20 cores in Oracle, which is very good to optimize the time inside. And that is.
Well, sounds good to me.
Yes, it is good. I feel that we will finish soon.
I don't think that Neil will be back in time, though. I
Yeah.
don't think he's going to be back in 1 minute.
Yes.
Yeah, I guess we could go through some of these species that Neil had problems with, if you want to. I mean, I can just kind of like copy them in.
Okay.
There are like a few that I don't actually see the issues. For example, I copy this one in here, Ogochloropsis.
Mm-hmm.
To me, that I don't know. To me, that shows up as like a normal, as a good species.
In Naturalista, it say that this species was
was
changed
split.
by Augochloropsis metallica, which is the same.
Yeah, that is. I think that is the same, yeah. Huh. Um, hmm. You know, I think I know what's going on with this one. I think this is a species that was recently split into many more species.
Mhm.
That's probably the issue. You know, it used to be one species and now it's, I don't know, 2 or 3.
Mm.
5 species.
Mhm.
Okay, let's see. And yeah, I guess I can search for these too. So how do you search for these? I'm like a little bit unsure. I mean, I can like go through like the raw file, the raw data, but it sounds like Neil has like a system where he like easily searches them.
Yeah. I don't know. I look in the last data set.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah, makes sense. I can do that too.
Mhm.
All right. Should we call this good? I mean, I don't know when Neil will be back.
Yeah. Uh, I will wait because I want to review some points of
Okay.
the species. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I hope you don't mind if I take off.
Yeah.
All right. See
Bye.
you.
See you.
Bye.
Anila, are you still there?
Yeah, I am.
So did you go through everything?
Yes. Yeah,
Okay,
it was very quickly, and Silas started to review some species,
uh-huh.
and then he go.
So what about, so in other words, Agorochloropsis metallica, is that a valid species?
It looks like it is a valid
Okay.
species.
I'll go over this again and we can compare data, but I guess um, I'll have to go back because I thought the list that you sent me that you had Sitkensis and Rufus Cinctus and A Metallica were not in the list. So
No,
I'll double check that.
okay.
So, okay, well, I'm gonna actually stop the recording.
Mm.